Cassie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with a quick writing tip, and that is to use character profiles to help figure out your plot. So a lot of people do various versions of character profiles. I did a video on this recently, so I'm not going to go in depth into what I mean by making a character profile. I'll link the video down below. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. But for this tip specifically, I want to talk about how that relates to figuring out your plot. I had never really sat down and specifically made character profiles until very recently, and what I found is that it actually really helped me figure out where I wanted to go with the plot of my story. So about a couple months ago, I got an idea for actually a fan fiction, and I started writing it and playing with it, and it was really fun, and I liked the story a lot, but it was very far from being canon to the story it was originally related to, and it was also one of, I think, the best things I've ever written, so I felt like keeping it as a fan fiction was a bit of a waste. So I decided to adapt it and change things enough, which wasn't hard because it was already very different, to be an original story. The problem was, and this is a problem that I have very often, that I only had ideas for one specific subplot of the story, the romantic part, and I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of the story. So I love the romance, but of course romance is only going to be a subplot of pretty much any story. There has to be more going on than just the boy and the girl getting together. You know, you have to have things happening in between those scenes that make those scenes more exciting because you're waiting for them, but you don't want the scenes in between to just be boring filler nonsense. You have to have an actual plot or many subplots throughout your story. So basically I had this idea for a really specific subplot of a great romance, but that's about it. I had a loose idea of where the story was going to begin and a loose idea of where it was going to end, and I had four sort of main characters somewhat developed. So at this point I didn't know what else to do, where else I was going with it, so I decided to sit down and play with my characters for a while. So for the first time ever, I made character profiles. Now a lot of people do this via questions, or they have little like questionnaires or surveys or whatever that you can fill out online. There's tons of different options for how you want to get to know your characters. The way I did it was very different. I didn't have specific questions like that, and again, that's all described in the video I will link down below. But what I found is that in addition to helping me figure out my characters better, these character profiles actually helped me to figure out a lot of really important plot points. So as I started playing with the characters, mapping out their inciting events, and asking myself who this person is at the beginning of the story, what their inciting event is at the middle, that's kind of a turning point for them, and where do I want them to go and who do I want them to be at the end of the story. As I was doing that, it sort of helped me to figure out a lot of different subplots within my story. And subplots are something that I am not very good at. I'm really good at figuring out one exciting romantic subplot that I love and then having no idea what to do with the rest of the story. So mapping out my characters with this specific method that I used of character profiling really helped me to figure out what else I might want to do with the story and how to introduce more characters and utilize them and really develop their stories too, instead of having the story be solely focused on the protagonist's journey. So yeah, that really worked well for me. I hope I've described that well enough. This wasn't a super deep video because I already did the other video about the character profiling. So if you want to go more in depth, I would recommend you look at that. But this was just sort of a quick video to tell you that if you are struggling with figuring out where you're going with your story, specifically figuring out more subplots for your story, if you feel like your story is very one-sided and there's one main plot or maybe a couple subplots, but there's not really enough going on to make a whole novel-length story, having some fun with your characters, making some character profiles, and allowing them to guide you is a really good idea, I think. I remember many years ago in high school, I can't remember if my English teacher said this to me or if it was someone else, but I have always kept this in mind. She or he, depending on who it was, said that when you are struggling with where to go next in your story, always fall back on your characters and let them guide you. If you don't know what's gonna happen next, look at your character and say, well, what would this person do next in this situation? And that's kind of what I did in the character profiling in sort of an indirect way. And what I thought was originally just going to be helping me get to know my characters better actually helped me a whole lot in the plot department. So that's it for this video. I hope that was helpful for you. Tune in next week for another quick tip. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, and if you want to see more from me in the future, subscribe below. My first novel, Keep No Record, is still available on Amazon, and I will link that below in the description. And that's it. I'll see y'all next week. Have a great day. Bye.